Greetings and welcome to another edition of the Red Pill Diaries. This edition is for channel members, and I'd like to thank each and every one of you for holding on with me, especially through this last week or so. We were trying to drop a series of videos, but we got suspended from YouTube, and the videos were deleted. Luckily, we got them on Patreon, but I just wanted to say thank you all for sticking with us through these times as we try to defeat the censor machine. So we're going to go and we'll be careful. We'll straddle the lines, but we'll try to be careful on offending YouTube and the powers that be and the censors. Okay, we'll try our best and we'll try to keep it short. First, I got to put this on. Today is my son's birthday, Kareem, and my daughter bought me this, and she wanted me to put it on. And they like for me to look foolish a little bit. And the birthday party is going on the other side of the house, and I got about 45 minutes to an hour to get this in here. So I thought I'd sneak in here and do this while everybody was laughing at me wearing this right here. So I'm here today. Thank you again for your time. Thank you again for supporting the channel. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart to the depths of my soul. Thank you so much. So let's get it now. There's so many things we talked about on live shows, on shows that are for mainstream platforms and stuff like this. But I want to just talk to you about a few things, especially when it's concerning the collapse of Europe, the collapse of American power. I want to really, really show you just how far we've come, all right, and show you how the economics and the mathematics of the situation will not allow for American hegemony to be maintained. It will not allow for European dominance over Africa and Asia and the Caribbean and also down in Latin America and Central America. It won't allow for that to continue. Math does not lie. I don't care how many times you add up 1 and 1, you'll never get 47. I don't care how many times you multiply 2 times 2, you'll never get 7,000. Math and the guidelines of math are what we go by to come to a sound conclusion on what we should expect. And what we should expect is a total implosion of the global economy led by the United States. The rules-based order, the Western-led or Western-dominated rules-based order, it's an utter decline. A lot of people don't like to talk about that, okay? A lot of people just like to give you any sign of recovery. They want you to believe in a recovery that's not happening. They want you to believe that somehow, against all odds, that there will be a major economic recovery and then we'll go back to business as usual. They want you to believe that without any evidence. So they manufacture articles and they manufacture content that says everything other than the reality of the situation. You can see it on CNBC. You can see it on some Fox News. You can see it on MSNBC. You can see it on CNN. You can see it on a lot of the channels on the platforms, the social media platforms. They'll say, yeah, we're in this situation, but if the Fed does this, and if Biden does this, and if the U.S. government does that, then we can do this, this, and this. Ignoring and throwing out all common sense and throwing out all mathematical projections because they want you to feel good. They don't want you to panic. They want to continue to hold the reins over you, and they want you to believe that everything will rebound so that when things go south, they'll still have their talons or their claws in you. It's exploitation at its finest. If I can give you salted down, skewed information, and if I can manipulate the situation and manipulate the facts, then I can lead you to an area that I want you to be in. And because if you have access to the reality, to the facts, if you have access to everything that is going on, it empowers you. And it breaks the shackles and the chains of what the media and what the governments want you to believe. And so what we're trying to do is get you out of the make-believe world of Walt Disney and all of these rosy predictions and assessments coming by paid prognosticators and pundits and investors. And we want to get you on an educated path of the reality of the situation and the reality of the time. Okay? And the reality of the time, as brought to you by history, science, and mathematics, leads us all to a conclusion that there is no possibility to return to things prior to the economic meltdown. There's no way. All of the signs, all of the barometers that we look to understand where we are and what to look forward to points towards an impending economic implosion and explosion, the likes of which we've never seen before. All of the economic barometers and all of the signs point towards the downward spiral of Western hegemony, the collapse of the greatest pillar of power of the Western world, America, the collapse of the greatest instrument of power, the greatest level of power that America has exercised, which is her dollar. All of these things are collapsing. And yet the Western world, the Western pundits, the prognosticators, the investors, the politicians want you to believe that there will be a return to the old way. That once we get out of this little mess that we find ourselves in, we can go back living the way we once lived. We can go back acting the way we once act. We can go back thinking and speaking the way we once spoke and thought. And in reality tells us that if all of the economic, the social, the military, and the political barometers have deteriorated, there is no possibility for us to return back to the way things were. There must be a new way forged forward. And it must be done outside the reigns of those who ruled prior to the situation taking place. I see my co-host in the guest booth ready to come in, and I want everybody to hold for a second, and I want to bring him in to see if he can hear me and if I can hear him. And then it went out. But when he comes back in, we'll bring him back in. But they want us to believe that everything, all mathematics goes out the window when it concerns America. All historical records go out the window when it concerns America and the West. All scientific norms go out the window. Why? Because in their minds, America and the West are exceptional. I keep telling you this. Hold on one second. Let's go to something real quick. Okay? Give me a second. All right. According to the dictionary, the word exceptional is an adjective. It means unusual, not typical. Unusual, uncommon, abnormal, atypical, extraordinary. Outstanding, extraordinary, remarkable, unusually good, special. There we go. So with that mind being the pervasive mind of Western politicians and even the Western citizens, there's no way that they can forge ahead with that mind. What is it for my Christian brothers? What did Jesus say? You cannot put old wine in new wineskin, lest the wineskin break and the wine spill out. You cannot forge a new world order or a new global governance or a new viable path forward with the same mind, the same leaders, the same machinations, the same government, the same style of finance, commerce, and politics. There's no way possible. You don't put new wine in old wineskin. You don't do that. There must be something new, and regardless to what Joe Biden says, and regardless to what Joseph Borrell says, and regardless of what the politicians of the West say. Reality tells us, as reality dawns on us through mathematics, through history, through science, through culture, that you cannot escape what goes around comes around. That karma, people say justice, people say judgment. They're all the same. What you put out is you're going to get back in an equal or greater form. And when we look at the situation, as I did a show the other day, and we talked about the Chinese and how the Chinese is forging a way forward with the BRICS, right? Matter of fact, let me pull it up. And we talked about this. The BRICS, it says BRICS, 150 countries to pay Chinese yuan, not US dollar for loan repayment. And then when you read the article, it tells us it's not 150. It's 155 countries. And then I was reading an article that came out today that was saying that 20 more countries, 20 more are applying for the BRICS Plus organization. So that would put us up to 175 countries. There's less than 200 acceptable or acknowledged countries in the world. So if, let's say, the 175 uses and start using yuan, even if they don't use it exclusively, it puts a major dent in the United States' ability to control trade, to control commerce, to control finance, to control the political landscape globally. It becomes an impossibility for her to control these things because the dollar is not going to be consumed in such a way as it was prior to the situations that are breaking out across the globe today. What we see today is a new paradigm, a new thought, a new school of thought underway, and it is starting to not just seep across the globe, it is starting to move across the globe at breakneck speed, that there is a possibility for a new way of governance outside of capitalism. And I'm not saying that I'm not a communist, I'm not socialist, I'm not none of that. But I'm just saying there is a new possibility outside that. There is a new possibility of governance and politics and culture and religion and geopolitics outside of Western dictates. This is what has them fearful. And all of the signs show us that for America to maintain her position, it's untenable. It's untenable. As a matter of fact, let me see something real quick as I'm talking to you all. And we'll go to some clips in a second. There was an article, and I haven't read this article, but I saw it. There was an article that came out on the 4th of this month, December the 4th. And the article is titled, Goals, like goals gain means end of US dollar-based system is near, expert says. Now, this is what it reads, and we're reading it together. It says, the price of gold soared over $2,100 per troy ounce on Monday, reaching an all-time high. What signal does this send about the US dollar's strength? The unfolding gold price rally has prompted some economists to suggest that the yellow metal's cost above $2,000 is here to stay through 2024 due to political uncertainties, possible interest rate cuts, and probably a weaker dollar. The most recent hike could be triggered by a 3.1% fall in the US dollar against a basket of major 6 currencies since the beginning of November. The drop occurred amid growing suspicions among investors that the US Federal Reserve could cut interest rates earlier next year. And I talked about how people are positioning themselves outside. They are liquidating dollar assets. We read the article of how investors are now liquidating. Now you put that on top of governments starting to sell off bonds and China refusing to engage in more bond buying, and nations starting to position themselves to a basket of currencies and to start positioning themselves to the yuan, the mirror system, the Chinese payment system, the African payment system, the South American payment system, or the Latin American payment system, I should say. Think about the weight that is put on the back of the dollar, which means that it is straining dollar hegemony, which means it is threatening U.S. imperialism and U.S. economic prosperity. You understand? So let's go further. First of all, I think it shows that people lose trust in the U.S. dollar. I think it's supposed to say lost, but it says lose trust in the U.S. dollar, but also in American institutions. If you recall the live show we did the other day, I was telling you about how the institutions were corrupt to the core, and how all of the institutions and levels of power that America and the West once dominated in are becoming more and more useless and mundane, because the East and the global South has started building up organizations and institutions that counter Western dominated institutions like the IMF, the World Bank, and all of these institutions. This does not bode well for continued dollar hegemony, which means it does not bode well for continued American hegemony and continued Western dominance. You understand me? And this is the main reason, one of the main reasons for America's constant and scaled up belligerence towards nations, especially the BRICS nations, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization nations, and any of the nations who tend to want to lean towards the global South. Because America and the West, they're fighting for hegemony. They're fighting for their lives. I want you to understand. So let's go a little further. First of all, I think this shows that people lose trust in the U.S. dollar, but also in American institutions. Claudio Grass of the Mises Institute, ambassador and an independent precious metal advisor based out of Switzerland, told Sputnik. On the other hand, the world is splitting apart again, and the East is shifting.